Welcome to Inside the Firm, a podcast dedicated to small business owners and hosted by entrepreneurs, Alex, Gore, and Lance Cayko. Each week, they take you on their journey of how to start, run, and grow a business by bringing you inside their architecture and real estate development firm. Get a behind-the-scenes tour of how these business leaders manage their clients and foster company culture while creating new and innovative projects. And now your hosts, Alex, Gore, and Lance Cayko.
Al, the Bitcoin bull, Gore.
That's a year old.
Bitcoin is not good right now. It's all right.
It's not doing
It's
anything.
hanging out.
Yeah.
It's flatlining.
Yeah. I've been watching getting alerts about the stock market.
Are you excited? Are you scared? Are you nervous? What's going on?
500 down. 500 down. And then all of a sudden, by the time that I actually look, it corrected itself. It's back. It's only like...
Yeah, people freak out.
Yep. And then even...
Year over year, it's about the same where it was last year.
Yeah. But even if it goes down by like a couple thousand points, people are going to freak out. It's going to be the biggest crash ever. But what they don't know is...
That's what they're going to say.
A couple... 2,000 points is just like 2 years ago where the economy was doing fine. And also this market cap, what they're saying, like the market lost $8 billion. How they calculate that is, hey, you have a Lance stock. It's called Lance Cayko. Awesome.
Greatest.
Yep. Last year, I paid $10 for it, right? So, and you had 10 of them, so it's worth $100. Now I'm paying $100 for each one, so now it's worth $1,000. But that doesn't actually mean, that just means like what one guy paid for the new stock. Actually, so let's say I only bought one at 100, right? The rest were bought at 10, right? So when it goes down, to like, now it's only worth 80. Only the guy that bought it at the high lost. The rest of the people that bought it lower are totally fine. Did nothing. It was just their little bank account. They thought that it went up, but then it went down a little bit. It wasn't real because they're valuing the whole market cap based on the last guy that bought it. And they said the whole market cap is worth whatever the last guy paid for it.
Right, because that's the spot price, right? And
that's
then
the
they multiply
price.
Yeah.
Yeah. If everyone sold instantly, they all wouldn't sell for that price.
Sounds like funny money.
I don't know why we got off on this.
Because of Bitcoin. Yeah. Because of Bitcoin. So, hey, we haven't talked too much about it because you were out of pocket last week. You were not at a conference on the podcast. Yep, you were at a conference that we decided to skip the afternoon. Yeah. But not only that, but I did the podcast last week with my wife because we did our open house because we got selected to be on the Boulder Modern Home Tour. Yeah. So I wanted to catch you up a little bit on that.
Please do.
And a little fun story, and I hope it inspires everybody else listening to the podcast. So if you go back to episode 0 and 1, right around there, you'll hear the story, and I'm sure everybody who's listened up to this point, which will be episode 82, have already listened to that. But as a refresher, we started this firm in the Great Recession, right in the heart of it. There was nobody was hiring, so Alex and I managed to find some work and get it done. Right. So I was laid off by a couple of architects who were great. They won Young Architect of the Year award. Alex was hired by Daniel Liebskin, only to be laid off. We literally watched people stream out from the Wall Street building in New York City with all their stuff and their belongings, ready to get eaten by wolves because that's who was ruling the world at that point. Right?
Yeah.
So
then it was poor little Al. Walk it out.
Poor little Al. So we were all devastated when we started our firm from nothing, right? And I mean, we literally had Craigslist ads up about how to get work. And so from scratch, when Al first moved down to Longmont, he lived in the apartment kitty corner to mine. He had no furniture. And I mean that literally no furniture. He had a trunk, right? A trunk full of stuff
from my parents.
And a lawn chair.
Well, no, it was a foldable baseball chair,
which means lawn chair.
So I would classify that as furniture. So I feel like I did have furniture.
Okay, so Al had 2 pieces of furniture. And at that point, he thought he was a good cook. Al was a terrible cook. Now he has a wife. So she makes up for both of them.
Yeah.
Well, sorry for him.
I didn't even have a TV until one of our friends visited 6 months later. I was like,
shout out
maybe
Matt Perry.
I should have a TV.
Yep. And then I think you got a couch that weekend too or something. Nope.
I bought a second foldable chair.
A second foldable chair because this man is luxury. So I'm telling you guys, literally just 9 years ago.
You can't.
Not even 8 years ago, actually, because Al moved in May I believe it was May or June, right around then of
2019
of 2010. 2010.
Ah,
So just 8 years ago, that's where Al Gore is. Right now, he's
bachelor luxury.
back in bachelor.
That's the official term, bachelor luxury.
Hashtag it. It's a real thing. Yeah. Yep. Start an Instagram account. You'll go viral, Al. It'll be great. So that's where we started from. And since then, Al bought his first house, sort of flipped it because I think you did do some improvements, right? I did the same thing. We made a little bit of money. Al moved now into the neighborhood that is his dream neighborhood.
America.
He calls it. It's literally America. Yeah. Lance did the same thing. Remarried his wonderful wife, and not for a second time, but for the first time with her, and then moved in and built his own house, which was then on the Boulder Modern Home Tour. So that's how I'm bringing this thing full circle today, Al.
So I like that. One, it's a great neighborhood, but it's like America asterisk because it's still in Boulder County, and Boulder County is the Republic of Boulder.
That's true. Yeah, mine is America asterisk. Yeah. And I don't live in the city. I live in the country.
And to be clear, so Lance designed and built his house, so that's why it's on the Boulder tour. I just bought a house in America.
In America, no asterisks.
Yes,
It is actually official after it. There's a little in brackets America official. Is where he lives. Anyway,
trucks.
my point with this is, it was hilarious. So we had about 100 people come through the house. It was a really good experience, and I recommend if any architect or even just business person is listening to this and they have the opportunity, put your house on. Try to get your house on one of these tours. It's fantastic. You meet a ton of people. They're all they're all very high caliber people. So by that I mean like their incomes were all per person above $75K. This is what the organizer told us. They also are like art and architecture geeks and nerds and aficionados, so that they appreciated all of the work and everything like that. It was a good thing to do just as like sort of a mixer in your house to meet more people, hand out cards, and get your name out there, right? Plus we can say, I even added to the resume, like selected, or F9 is selected on the Boulder, has select work on the Boulder Modern House Tour. But the coolest part about it is the same architect who laid me off in 2009.
You're fired, Lance.
You're fired, Lance Cayko. Due to economic reasons. Well, I don't believe it was performance.
Yeah. You're on the verge of getting fired every day.
I know, every day at F9 as a W4 employee. We're about like 2 hours left into the tour. Maybe like in the last hour, actually, of the tour, right? Me and my wife were glad-handing and talking to people and schmoozing them up and everything. And I see him walk up to the steps, and I thought, how serendipitous is this? Yeah. How awesome is this? So I went up and shook his hand, and we're friendly and everything, and it's all good.
Oh, we've talked to him afterwards
multiple times. I've had beers with him and everything. But I got to walk up and say, "Hey, I'm Lance Cayko, internationally award-winning architect. Welcome to my home."
Did he shake his head or laugh? Or
he laughed. And then the other cool part was we shot the breeze a little bit because we had these pamphlets up, and we showed them. I was showing the development, and people that was like my graphic for like, here's Lance's resume type of thing. I would even showed you these. They were pretty cool. And so if we ever do,
what does he think about the development? Or
he was just like, that's amazing. He's like, that's amazing. He's like, good for you. This is awesome.
Yeah, great.
just like impressed, and all that kind of stuff. So my point with that story is, guys, keep your head up. All right. And there's going to be another recession. If you're just working for another architect right now, there's going to be another downturn. Can't avoid it. If you do get laid off, and hopefully it's not because of performance. Hopefully, I hope you don't get laid off. But if you do, it's because of monetary reasons, and it just is what it is. Keep your head up and try to follow fundamentals, and don't ever lose sight of just every day you're pushing a boulder up a mountain, and you will get there. And as long as you are doing repetitive things that are moving you and your life in a positive professional direction, I'm telling you, it all comes full circle. It's awesome.
And then also, so we're just one small, tiny little podcast in this world of media. I don't know how much people can influence this, but let's say that the stock market goes down, and you're going to hear panics all crazy. If it isn't a fundamental correction, meaning in something like it was during recession. So they were lending out funny money for houses.
Funny money.
They're not lending out funny money for houses right now.
There was an article last week that said they're going to start doing it again.
Of course they will. Of course they will. But
I got to find that. But yeah, keep going.
And then also here's another fundamental one that's huge is college costs are going up. Well, right now people can pay for it. They might not be able to pay for it in the future, but honestly, the government bought all those, and they just make up funny money anyways. What I'm trying to say is I hope that it's not just, you see the stock market go down and everyone panics. Like, that is not real measurement.
It's not a real measurement.
Yeah.
At all.
So
hopefully
if the stock market goes down, people still, people still have jobs, still doing stuff. Your retirement funding maybe went down for a little bit, but hopefully that's it.
Yeah, pain is temporary. How about that? You get laid off, pain is temporarily. And you keep moving ahead every day, one foot in front of the other, and you do fundamental things correctly, and you keep a positive attitude, and you do good work. Good things are going to come to you.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Okay, we have a listener question.
Do you want me to read it?
Yeah.
Okay. So, listener question came in from last week. We were going to address it last week, but my wife's candy voice was on the episode on the podcast instead, filling in for Al. She got paid all of Al's paycheck as a result.
I thought you were going to double it, so I'm glad that you didn't.
All right, here's the question. I was approached by a contractor to design a prefabricated home, something he would be fabricating in his shop. He's starting his own company for this, as well as he's looking to get into prefabs as opposed to custom homes. I'm wondering if you have any insight on the process. For the designer, if you've had any similar projects in the past. I know you've designed and built your own Atlas tiny house, but have you done a design for only a project like this? I'm curious about the best approach. If I should patent the design to enforce royalties or write up a contract that details a certain percentage on each resale, so I can essentially charge less upfront but collect the more product is sold. I plan on being involved in the whole process, the construction, marketing, and client customization of each prefab. So I will be negotiating that compensation with him. But my hang-up is, if I'm only involved with the initial design, what can I bring to the table, or what processes would you suggest I use to ensure I'm compensated for the design that the contractor can easily reproduce infinitely? In this case, we've already spoke about a partnership in the new prefab company, as it's the contractor's first venture into this as well. We also have a great relationship, and I expect to be heavily involved in the process, but I'm wondering, in a general case, is there anything I can do to essentially not get financially undercut in this process if other contractors come to me and want only the design done and that's it?
It depends. And it's a great question. And I think that I don't think I'm going to say something that people likes.
Uh-oh.
I think the only way for you to be compensated well is that if you join a partnership, and if they agree that that partnership is worth some sort of stake that then you get proceeds from. Now, is the product that you are making, that you are designing, is it a product, meaning a commodity, or is it art, right? So think about right now. If you design a product for someone, a lot of times you don't get money per every one that they make. Do car designers get a cut per car that rolls off? That's a great point. Absolutely not. Is it also artistic? Isn't new Porsche artistic? Yeah.
Absolutely. And to answer his first question, we have done that. So there was a tiny house builder who came to us this last year, and we worked on end of last year, beginning of this year, worked on it and finished it for him. It's cool. They're going to replicate it. We had no discussions about a fee, right, based on if they're going to build new ones.
Yep. So then if you are in that product/commodity item, how do you get, and if you realize I'm not going to get paid per one, how do you get paid fairly? Now, are you so good that you're one of the top designers in the world so that Porsche is going to pay you $200,000 to head their design studio, right? Or are you designing for Ford? Not, Fords are great cars, whatever, and they just need a regular designer for, who knows? They make an average $100,000 salary, blah, blah, blah. which one are you in? So like, what product are you designing? Are you so good at, your prefab things that like only you can do it, only you know how to put it out? Or are you making a commodity where someone else could do it? So as a business owner, I'd say, hey, that's great. I really like you, Lance. You're a good designer. But I'm not designing a Lance Cayko doomsday house. I could go and get Al Gore. Like there's competition. Now, so that's the first thing to figure out. And then two, okay, if you're of the hang up, I'm an architect, thus I'm an artist. So I should get paid like an artist for everyone. Maybe, because some artists are on Spotify and they make 0.001 cents, per whatever. And then sometimes you want that artist to be on your commercial and you have to pay them $50,000. I would say there's different words for different reasons. And I would say you're more on the product side than anything. So you either need to be a part of the business and then come to a negotiation about how much that works. And if you're doing other things, yes, now you can help out because you're in sales and all that. So you either join that business and become a partner, or you start singing songs and selling them.
Okay, that's the one. That's how you could put it. Yeah, I would agree with Al. You need to do more. You need to be more than a designer. I'm sorry. Like if you want a bigger piece of the pie, you gotta, and it sounds like you will be if you're gonna be involved in the construction, the marketing, and the client customization of each prefab. I think you have to basically at the end of the day, you're gonna have to. The reason why people partner up is because in a good partnership is why Alex and I are partners, is because what we lack. One of our strengths is what the other one is what people have, maybe Al lacks or I lack. And therefore you make a better team. And therefore I am valuable to Al for X, Y, and Z. And he's valuable to me for X, Y, and Z. So there's a give and take. So the same thing, you have to present yourself in that sort of way. And it sounds like you probably already are, because maybe the contractor obviously isn't a designer, right? He's also not like a marketing person, right? And then maybe you sort of meet in the middle with, you can learn. Like, here you go. Can you learn how to construct it? But could he learn how to design? Probably not. So maybe you always have like an advantage, in that way.
But and maybe don't sell yourself. I don't mean
that in a bad way.
Don't sell yourself short either. Maybe, think about it from his perspective. Right now it feels like he has all the cards. But maybe you need to put yourself in the position of, oh, what if he's just constructing it and then I'm designing and selling it? That seems pretty 50-50. Like what if all he's doing is constructing it and I'm doing all the updates, all the design, manage. So maybe you, just have to take on more responsibility. Or else it's literally going to be, I just don't see people can fish out if they're paying something and they're not getting value for it. So like, here's the other way to do it is that, okay, you get paid such a good fee the first time that it's pretty much perfect, right? But if you get paid, or you get paid a medium fee and then you get royalties, well, if they're cranking these out and they're like, oh, we're paying you $200, $500 per one, and like it hasn't changed, and like I felt like you already got your money, like why am I still paying this person? It doesn't make sense unless they paid you nothing to begin with. Like you're not going to get paid more than what value you bring. And one design for a commodity product isn't worth a huge a royalty for forever.
And exactly. And I think the quicker designers come to that, just swallow that pill, that truth pill, and face it, then the better off you are, and you can pivot and understand how where your real value is, and then how you can gain more value. There was the other relating story where I could tell about this is that, I don't know if you've experienced this, Al, but I've had so we do drawings for a lot of builders and developers who do repeat products, right? So like repeat houses, and I've had several of them tell me, "Hey, make sure that do you have a repeat design fee?" And I go, "What do you mean by that?" They're like, "Well, let's say we don't change anything and we build another house 2 blocks away, same one that you designed for me. Do you have a repeat fee for that?" And I go, "What are you talking about?" Literally, like they had to educate me. They're like, "Well, other architects say it's going to cost me $500 to use it." Yeah. And I say, if I'm stamping it, sure, If I'm somehow required to stamp a single family
Look
house,
over it, coordinate with the
exactly. I'm going to charge you a fee. But if I don't even have to look at it and I'm not stamping it, nope, not really. It's your product. You're building it. And essentially, everything's gonna land on you. Yeah. So that's been this, and then they have, I can tell in those discussions with those builders and those developers when I say there is no repeat fee. Obviously, we're doing business with them. So what? Well, they don't like that repeat fee because they go, well, you're not even doing anything. Why am I giving you more money?
Well, exactly. I think a lot of people are going to push back or yelling into their phones or their cars right now. You can't, right? But here's the difference is that we realize we are acknowledging reality. So bigger home builders, like bigger ones than we even work with, have an internal staff or they hire an architecture firm. But a lot of times they have an internal staff that's, designing these. And it's just a salary, whatever. If you were good enough on that staff where you could then say, hey, not only am I doing designs, but these designs are bringing you more money, so thus I'm, I can be part of a partnership. Yeah, maybe you could climb up that ladder. But basically, we are doing for smaller builders what bigger builders can do. So we're providing a value for them. And how this works out, because again, think about it. You'll get paid what you are valued. So when they send over a change or say, I want to make this similar, we never talk fees. We just bill them hourly.
Yeah.
We bill them fairly.
Yep.
And I've never had a problem with it. Another big builder that we needed something from them, and you know who I'm talking about. They're like, yeah, sure. I'll sign on that line for you guys. Because, we give them value, so they give it back.
And the trust has been built.
Yeah.
For sure, the trust has been built.
So our way isn't the only way, but honestly, reality is reality, and that's a stark one you got to deal with.
Reality, yeah. I just want architects and designers to anybody who is of those kind of trades or related trades to just face reality when it comes to, sure, design is valuable, very, very valuable. Obviously, you can win awards with it and then get more media and press, all that kind of good stuff. But at the end of the day, just facing the reality of like how you can actually how you can show value. I don't think it's in, I'm going to, just because I designed something for you, then I'm going to get paid for repeating it.
How about, so here's another thing too. Again, flip it on its head, because I feel like a lot of times it's a developer coming to an architect that doesn't want to pay. There's no reason why you can't try to do the opposite. Hey, I know these lots. I can make designs for them. It can show this X return. You can even partner with a construction guy that doesn't have the time to do that, right? But he gives you credibility that, yes, I can build those designs. Then you need to work your market to get someone to finance you. But now all of a sudden you've then created that, rather than being the one that's being come to, you're the one that goes to people. Just that switch.
Yep.
You coming to them with the idea.
Yep.
Immediately puts you on that other. And then the contractor's wondering, like, am I a partner? What do I have to do?
Exactly. That's a great, I think that's a beautiful point.
Yeah.
For sure. So it's just like when we can, Amazon, if you're listening, we had an idea about a giant skyscraper, literally North America's tallest.
Yeah.
Come on. Play ball.
We'll do it.
Okay.
So, hey, that's so funny that Nick from Nick Reads sometimes asks for book suggestions, and he listens on Audible, which Audible is an Amazon company.
Audible is great. Yeah, I
feel
listen to them too.
Free publicity here. Mm-hmm. So I've been on a tear listening to these business books.
Good.
And I've been listening to them at like 1.75 to like 2. And I've just been flying through them. I'm like, holy crap, I got to buy more credits. So the first one I listened to was The Everything Store, which is about Amazon. It was written by Brad Stone. So these are just suggestions. If you guys podcasts are great. I still listen to podcasts, but I've just been getting to Audible books.
Yeah,
I think you have too.
Yep.
It really, especially if you're in business, can open your eyes. I'm not saying it directly relates to architecture or not, but that book, The Everything Store, is absolutely amazing. The second one that was kind of referenced in that is Amazon kind of stole a lot of people and modeled themselves after Walmart. So then I listen to Sam Walton, Made in America by Sam Walton, and how he did it too. Great lessons in there.
The coolest part about that book that you and I talked about through some other conversation that related to it was Sam Walton going into every store in every town and just picking their brain. And maybe that store had a terrible idea, but maybe there was 1 out of 100 of their terrible ideas were like, I'm using that.
Yep.
I can't even remember why we were talking about that.
I can't.
It was something about like just
meeting bankers or meeting
yes. No, meeting preferred lenders. Yeah, like why would you meet with these people if you're not going to do business? I don't know. And what if I get the best idea I've heard in 10 years?
Yeah. I like looking at drawings too. So
other people's drawings.
Me too. I love it. So on the Entre Architect Facebook community, I feel like somehow it comes up every time. Someone was talking about fireproofing details. And I won't say their name, but they said, yeah, we had to do like 2 whole sheets of it. So I private messaged this guy that I've never talked to before. He said, architect. And I said, hey, could you send me those sheets? Because I'm just interested in like 2 sheets of fireproofing details. I'm actually really interested in it. He's like, yeah, they're not proprietary or anything. Sent me
I love it.
The 2 sheets.
I just see, so that kind of swings back to the listener question too, is like, I have a problem with like intellectual property. I don't believe there is such thing as intellectual property.
You communist Chinese.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Right. That's like, right. I mean, it's like, yeah. So you know,
I only say that because it's a similar thought. Is that once you come up with something, it's for the benefit of all people. I'm not saying that you subscribe to that or me.
I mean, see, it's so easy to get in the weeds with somebody saying there's no intellectual property, and then somebody on the other side is going like, no, there is. Well, okay, how do you even?
That's why I brought it up.
How do you even say this is, and how do you even define an idea, right? As a property.
We're getting philosophical.
I mean, it's just.
Do not
anyway, my point is that the more free flowing ideas can be, especially in the design community. I think for the quicker people can let go of the idea that we have to hold on to them, the better. See how it's benefiting. That's my point.
Right.
I love that. I love that he was just like, yeah, no, just take them.
Well, especially if I can see if you don't want to give an architect down the street or in your state information about how to do stuff. But if you're in different states and it's like how to construct something, how to make something better, how to do something, I don't see an issue with it. Even like if some people, there's higher end firms, like let's take Zaha Hadid's firm, does crazy forms, right? And they might not want to let out like, how do we connect these crazy forms together? And I'm not even saying like that is an architecture form that should spread or not. It's not about that idea. It's about, okay, if we let them know how this works, they might build more buildings like that. Well, if you believe that your buildings are actually better, that seems like a good thing. But then it's going to create competition. Yeah, maybe, sure, I guess, maybe. But for this, like, I don't know. The firm in Denver is not going to, for what we're doing, small townhomes, is not going to go to Pennsylvania and hire a firm that does townhomes.
Right.
So think about reality and what you're really doing. Bigger firms, I know there's competitions. We were out fishing and like there's people from competing firms and they're, been friends for 10, 12 years. And it was like, man, I can't tell this person what we're doing. It's like, you guys are nuts. Like I'll tell you anything. What do you want to know? Give me some more Bud Light.
I know. It's so annoying. IP's crap. Anyway.
Last one. Sorry. So the Everything Store was amazing. Sam Walton Made in America was awesome. And then Shoe Dog, which is about Nike. Really good too. And what was
Phil Knight, isn't he the owner or CEO?
He is.
Yeah. So he wrote it himself?
He wrote it.
Oh, cool.
Yep. And what was crazy about that one was it was literally problem after problem after problem. And I'm sure some of that was edited down so like it made a great story, but it was like, holy cow, how are you going to get out of this? Holy cow, how are you going to get out of this? Holy cow, how are you going to get out of this? And all of these, what's consistent in all of these is that they had a high growth strategy. So Phil Knight, every time he got in enough money that he had sold shoes back in like the 70s, he'd take all that money. He's like, I'm buying all more shoes again. And the bankers hated it, especially back in that day, because like venture capital was like a new non-existent thing.
Seriously.
And the bankers like, you don't have enough equity, because every time he would basically bet the company 100%, 100%, 100%, 100%.
How many developers when we were going after money?
Yep.
So many developers would tell us that, as they're like, well, here's how I made it. I put my cards in all in.
Yep.
I mean, we are gamblers, man. Capitalists are gamblers.
Yep. And then Sam Walton, what he would do is he brought discounting basically to America. And he stole, and he even said this. He's like, I'd steal from everyone. So before, you'd have variety stores where you'd come in, and I'd be the guy behind the counter, and you'd have to ask me what you wanted. And I would go and like give it to you and hand it to you. So he saw this idea in Minnesota where like, no, just put everything out and just check them out at the end. Like that was a new idea. Then there was another guy, some other place, who knows, Kansas, probably not Kansas, but we'll just give a shout out to all you Kansas people. There was the idea of discount. So bulk. So essentially he would go directly to the manufacturers, get a bulk order, and he said, we're only charging 30% above what we got it for, no matter what. He goes, here's a secret. He goes, if you sell, let's just say 3 socks for $5, right? So, and let's say they only cost $1 each, so you made $2, right? If you sell 4 socks for $4.50, like now you only made 50 cents per that thing. He goes, you're going to make a ton more because people are going to buy more of that. My example is a little bit off. His math was probably better, but you get. Yeah. So then what's crazy is that related to Amazon too. Amazon was all about just high growth strategy after high growth strategy, competition, lowest price for a consumer all the time, and just massive success. All 3 of those companies, right?
Yeah. Learn from the best.
Yeah.
You literally, Al Gore is doing a design case study, a capitalist case study of success. That's what he's doing.
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah. Check out those books. I don't even have to check them out because Al gives me the cliff notes.
Yeah.
See,
when we drive.
See, you see how we're partners here, and then see, I don't have to do that, and therefore I just take it. That's the part I get.
Yep.
So, man, it's been a couple weeks.
Speaking of books, should we go to Nick Reed?
I think we should.
Hello, best friends. I hope you all had a great week this week. A reading. Art is always at its greatest before it reaches perfection. It is in that period when it struggles to assert itself that lies its power. Great art is always vibrant with spirit, vibrant with the joy of a vital idea. What we think of today as the perfect job, tomorrow we will discard. The completed object, the material manifestation, is only a symbol of the creative power that gave it birth. The true reality lies wholly in the spirit, the vibrant power that we call the soul of the thing. Never force yourself into anyone else's pattern, but do only the things you like best to do until you become their master. Enter into the spirit of creation and produce what's fun. Suddenly you'll awaken to find that your design will be orderly, beautiful, living, and you'll know that you've arrived. You will have found a peace in simple work that will live, a peace that comes to the blessed few. Ralph Twitchell. A question. Tupac or Biggie? Toodles!
Okay, I love that question. My gut says
Which one?
My gut says Biggie, but like Tupac, I can't definitively say. I want to say Biggie, but then you listen to some of Tupac and you're like, holy cow. I mean, it's no Rihanna, but it's up there.
Yeah.
That joke did not hit.
Yeah. It's no Rihanna. It's no Rihanna.
Rihanna is good.
You needed to do a Beyonce joke, right? Girls rule the world.
Sorry for you Beyonce fans. I know Nick's one of them. If you look at the lyrics
Tupac
of that song, there's only like 8 words in it.
Tupac or Biggie? Boy, what a divisive question.
How
Nick,
dare.
leading up to the midterm elections, look at you. How are you devising your divisive
East Coast
language?
versus West Coast.
Exactly, your divisive language. Just kidding.
I want both.
I know exactly. I want both too. So
And then I want a concert where both of them come back because they're obviously not dead, right?
clearly alive.
But where they're
Both
rapping.
Bitcoin investors.
They're rapping, but they're holding guns at each other the whole time.
Wow, just really edgy.
That's real.
I used to be I'm a huge fan of both, but I was first a fan of Tupac. So, there's a first
Loyalty.
Your first love, you never get over it. Your first rapper, you never get over it.
Yeah.
So I have to say Tupac just because of that. I didn't like Biggie until literally like 4 or 5 years ago, and then I went on I finally listened to album after album, and I was like, all right, he's really good.
All right.
My
Yeah.
bad. Art process. I have a question for you, Al.
Yes, I got an answer.
I feel like you like the process of art more than you like the product. Is that true?
Whoa, interesting. I would say I don't like the term art.
Elaborate.
Because art in my opinion, which is just my opinion, is for its own sake or for a reaction from you, which can be considered an experience or a product or something like that. Okay, that's great. But you can apply artistic thoughts to things that do things like buildings, cars, spaceships, airplanes, all that. And I more enjoy that it's not for its own sake, that it's actually doing something. So art's fine, but I can almost care less a lot of times.
Oh man, I know. He's so
Careless.
silly. Everybody who's listening, he's so silly. And everybody who's listening, you should know Lance is a fine art lover, so much so that he and his wife have some giant paintings in their house that his wife has done because they love art that much. And what it does for us is it brightens our day every day.
Yeah.
And Lance is, even though sometimes he's a jerk, he's a very happy man when he wakes up and just sees the art every morning.
Have you heard of...
So it does something for me.
This new...
It did something for everybody who came to the open house tour.
Yeah.
Do you know what art they love the most? And everybody should check this movie out if they haven't already. So there's 2 Banksy movies, but they loved. One is on YouTube and one is on Netflix, I believe. They loved, out of all the art, the Banksy art, and it made me think like, wow, nobody has any Banksy art in their house. That's freaking cool. Only I have Banksy art. We have this huge collage of Banksy art. If you've never heard of Banksy, I don't know who you are and you're listening to this podcast, but you should check out I think it's Through the Glass Door or something. I'll look it up real quick.
Yeah.
And there's another one that's called Banksy Does New York, or like 30 Days in New York with Banksy or something. Do you remember, have you watched that? It's incredible. Mm-hmm. And the way it it was with the rise of social media.
Yep.
So what he would do is he would on his Instagram, he would post a picture of it, his artwork, and then all of Manhattan would go search for it that day.
Yep.
People were cutting out pieces of their building.
Yes.
Did you know this?
I did.
And selling it.
Yep.
On the open market.
Did you hear what he just did?
With the painting that shredded?
Yeah.
But did you? Yeah. So if you haven't heard of this, everybody should look up this painting that he had. So they showed behind the scenes of how it worked, right?
Yeah.
So like they did all these test runs of. It's the famous one of the little girl holding a balloon.
Yeah.
The red balloon. And so they did all these test runs of like, okay, we have the remote ready because somebody in the audience had the remote, and then when somebody bought it in the auction, it was supposed to shred the whole thing, and only shredded half of it.
Yeah.
At that point, so they admitted it, like this was a malfunction, but now it's worth even more. They bought it for like $800,000. Now it's going to be worth like 1.2 or 1.3.
Yeah.
Okay, here's the movie. Sorry, one thing. I'm interrupting Lance today.
Yeah.
It is look up Exit Through the Gift Shop, which is awesome. It's sort of like a Banksy knockoff one, and then the next one is called Banksy Does New York, and that one is the one I watched this last weekend. Super cool.
Yep. And actually, the art itself doesn't annoy me as much. Listen, that's not the main thing. What set me off is, why do architects have to somehow when they say they're an artist, it's almost more grand. Why can't you own that you're an architect and that is a high form? Like, you know, you're not a architect, you're an artist. Like, I don't know. It's this isn't a great analogy. Like, it's almost like saying, I'm not a pitcher, I'm an outfielder. You know, like, don't you? Why do you have to? You know,
I'm a baseball. Okay, all right.
but like, why do you think art is higher than what you're doing?
Right. Why? Like, does that make you more special? Does it put you on a pedestal?
Yeah,
I don't know. Because here's
I'd say
why.
that's where it stems from.
I don't even know if you're really asking a question. If you are, I'll answer it. My question is, I think that a lot of people, I think the majority of people, when they look at a piece of art that they can't make, that makes the art special, and then therefore by virtue of that art being special and something that they can't create, that artist is special. And it is on a higher level of creationist person.
Sure. And then they see the architect and they go, oh, I could build that. So then they're not special.
Yep.
Okay. Sure. But anyways, I'm trying to tell all you architects, you are special enough. You don't need to claim that you're an artist. You can just say I'm an architect, and that's good enough. And in my view, it's amazing.
I've always held the term entrepreneur as the highest in my world. Like, you're entrepreneur. Like, you know what I mean? That just, you encompass everything at that point. Like, you are the person who makes you're the cog maker, man.
Yep. And the other thing too, and why my reaction is more a pushback of something that I feel like is forced too much down our throat. So when I was at this conference, multiple people kept saying, like, you know what, to revitalize this area, we need to keep the artists. We need to keep the artists. Longmont did a building, and they dedicated part of this new building to just artists.
Nobody's occupying that space, by the way. I drive by there almost weekly.
and here's I'm sure there's books. I think Richard Florida did one, the creative class.
Yeah.
Yep. And how, you know, hey, if you have artists, you have a vibrant economy. You know what? It's probably the other way around. If you have a vibrant economy, you have enough capital to have artists. I just don't see, especially when you define what they're actually doing and take architect out of that, because architects are actually producing a building. Man, that's if you filled up a downtown with artists, unless people are buying it, like you're not doing what they all say is. You can just save a city, and they'll be like, that's not what we're saying. Yes, I've been to these conferences. You are basically saying we need to save this city by having more artists. More artists are going to save the city. No, it's just going to make it funner on the weekends when you can go look at it.
Yeah.
If you have an economy that you can afford to do that. So there's all my pushback.
I'll tell you one little story too. So the city that we operate in the 80s. So what happens is these city council members and mayors and stuff, they go to these conferences, and it's like the League of Cities conferences. So they get all these grand ideas from these other cities, right? Some of them good, some of them bad. And one of these ideas that they got was that they should be doing more art, and they should dedicate 1% of the budget from the capital investment fund. So like if you're the fund that is supposed to go towards help keep maintaining the city buildings, right, and city property. So they started doing that, and the first installation they did is they put all these geese around town. So we have these giant geese around town. They have, and now the latest, I know Alice is looking at me, and
don't you love it? You're fine art. You said fine art. I'm a fine art connoisseur.
So there's the latest installment, and this has been an ongoing thing, is you've seen all these, there's these transformers. So they're like think of an electrical box, a green one that you've seen maybe in the city you live in, right? Well, now they pay artists to paint them. So it's called the Shock Box Art Program.
Nice. I like the name. I like the gimmick.
I like the name. My wife hates those boxes. So
why?
She doesn't like that they're painted. She's like, I just want them regular.
I actually agree with her, because they blend it. Now I'm forced to look at them because they're made like a Rubik's Cube, or there's something on there. I'm like, I could have just not looked at that.
Yeah.
Okay. This relates back to our question
from the listener.
Yep. Because in that quote, art has spirit in it, right? and prefab. Think about prefab. I'm not saying prefab can't have spirit, but Daniel Liebskin, my old boss, who I really like, and I don't buy the main criticism. All he does is the same thing over and over again. Like, what do you think your firm does? Get out of here.
Every firm has a style. Come on.
Get out of
Shed
here.
roofs, F9.
Yeah. So they had Daniel design a prefab building.
Yes, they did.
And it looked crazy. We don't even need to talk about the architecture, but I'm like, oh, they're not going to build 100 of those. Because once you build 100 of them, one, it'd be too expensive. Like, let's just get that out there, right? Two, 100 things in spirit put next to each other kind of lessens the uniqueness and the spirit of it. Like, if you just duplicated the Grand Canyon 100 times, you'd be like, oh, this maybe isn't as special as we thought. So what I'm getting at is that if you want an artist commission, you might not be in the commodity business.
You might not be. Exactly. Yep. I agree.
Yeah.
All right. What do we got next now?
A.R.E. Jeopardy. Let's bring in the boys. All right, here we go, guys. What material has the highest R value per inch? A, open cell spray foam. B, closed cell spray foam. C, extruded poly...
Styrene.
There we go, styrene. I knew that. D, vacuum.
As you can tell, Al's on the chopping block because of his reading skills.
Exactly. I should be. Can you give me that? What material has the highest R value per inch? Do you want all the answers? Okay, we have one yes. A, open cell spray foam. B, closed cell spray foam. C, extruded polystyrene. D, vacuum. What do we have? Wait. Sorry. Are we all ready? Thumbs up? Okay. C, B. The answer is B, closed cell spray foam.
001?
Yeah.
I didn't choose vacuum because it's not a material.
I wanted someone to do that and
Smart.
say, correct, but it's not a material, so wrong. Number 2, stress, which tends to make two members or two parts of a member slide past each other, is called A, compression, B, tension, C, torsion, D, shear. Again, stress, which tends to make two members or two parts of a member slide past each other, is known as A, compression, B, tension, C, torsion, D, shear. Boop, 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 boop. I hope people are shouting it out in their car driving to work. It's Q! Q! Say Q! We have D. You are all correct.
Correct. All right. So what do we got? 112.
Yep.
112. Number 3, the physical property which causes the superstructure of a building to remain in its original position while the base is moved by an earthquake's ground motion is known as A, elasticity, B, inertia, C, remanation, D, stagnation. The physical property which causes the superstructure of a building to remain in its original position while the base is moved by an earthquake's ground motion is known as A, elasticity, B, inertia, C, remanation, D, stagnation.
Shout out your answers, everyone. We can hear you.
Yell loud.
Yep. Even if you're in the office, just start screaming.
Yep. Especially if you're in a meeting.
Yep.
C, A, and C. The correct answer is B, inertia.
Look at that.
Back to physics. Back to physics class, boys. Okay, still 112. Here we go. Number 4, the moisture content at which soil.
Should we explain that? Why it is inertia?
If you can.
Yeah. So the property which causes the superstructure of a building to remain in its original position while the base is moved. So the base is moving, but the original one is because the inertia of it is stagnant. So it's not moving yet, even though the bottom is.
Exactly. But
Yep.
it will.
But
right?
then it will go because of inertia after it.
I have a bonus question too if there's a tie based on that.
Cool.
A definition, which is interesting because I remember this. Why do I remember this? Because I crushed the structurals part. If I could get my test scores back once again.
You swear.
Number one in the country. All right, number 4. The moisture content at which a soil starts to change from a plastic to a semi-liquid state is known as A, liquid limit, B, liquefaction, C, saturation, D, loose limit.
I think we've done this one, so they should know.
They should know.
Also, instead of screaming your answer, get next to someone and just whisper.
Yeah, creepily.
Someone that's not listening, just whisper into their ear.
You guys, one more time? I'm going to repeat the question for the listeners. Number 4, the moisture content at which a soil starts to change from a plastic to a semi-liquid state. A, liquid limit. B, liquefaction. C, saturation. D, loose limit.
You know what? Instead of whispering A, B, or C, or D, whisper the actual answer.
All right. A, and C. The correct answer is A. We are all tied up.
Wow.
Okay.
Jason, how does it feel to have that fly ball come straight to you, no one else around? Just drop over your head. Nice.
Okay, I got to write some quick answers here.
Just pause it. Or you got it. You're that quick.
I'm that quick. I got one more here. All right.
Something boy.
Exactly. Okay. So here's the question, and it's going to relate to number 3, which was the inertia question. Okay.
So this is a tiebreaker. So literally, the first person to buzz in, and you buzz in by raising your hand, so I can see.
You'll raise your hand.
Oh, I say write it and show.
Write it and show. The first person to write it and show will be called upon, right? Then the second person is like, let's say the first.
Well, if they get it wrong, that's why. So like, let's say Mark goes first with A and it's wrong, and then Jason's with B, and he beat Gresh, and they both said B. Then Jason would win.
Okay.
My eyes are on you guys.
Okay. What is when an earthquake occurs and the bottom and the base of the building moves and the top of the building moves later, when the building goes from side to side, right? So now it's going from side to side. Imagine that. So what is the distance from when a building goes from side to side in an earthquake, swinging back and forth, known as? All right. Is it A, period, B, pause, C, moment frame, D, bouncy boy? That is right. The correct answer is A. Mark, it is the period. It is known as a period.
I would even accept, while he was reading it, I wrote down period. And if you held up period.
Yep. Exactly.
All right. We got our winner. Let's just wrap it up.
That was a good round. Yeah, wrap it up, Al.
Thanks for listening. If you appreciate this, if you just love our voices so much that you can't get enough, go to RevitRocketship.com. Buy that program. You'll learn Revit. So that's great. Also, if you don't want to hear us anymore, if you hate our voice but love what we say, go to Amazon.com. Get the Creativity Code. It's a book about design and all that, and you'll love that. So thanks for listening. That's all I got, Lance.
I have go to Inside the Firm podcast. If you look that up on Facebook, there's a group. People have been joining it. I think we're at 77 members now. We'd love to get that up by 100 by the end of the year. So we keep growing that group. And then if you there's a certain episode that you liked or you loved, it was your favorite one, please let your friends know. Please let your students know if you're a professor teaching. I know we have a couple of them that listen to this podcast, so we can help the podcast grow and share our experiences with everybody and make better architects, better business owners, all that good stuff. See you next week.